guys, welcome. I'm so glad you're tuning in with us today. I'm here with Terra Nyce, and I'm so excited because I get to interview her here today. So Terra, she is a part of the Bethel community, and she's also an incredible photographer. So first off, Terra, can you tell me a little bit about your testimony and how you came to know the Lord?
Well, I was raised Catholic my whole life, and met my husband towards the end of high school, and it was really him taking the leadership and pursuing his own relationship with the Lord that led me to then follow him. As I followed him, we ended up going to a different church, and I watched his life. I watched him do a 180 in his life and dedicating his life, and that moved me to then reevaluate like where I was at, and then I rededicated my life, and we have since, we got baptized together as adults, and it was really cool. So since then, we moved back to the Tri-Cities after he finished college, and have been here ever since.
That's so cool. I love that. So was it during college when that happened?
No, it was before college.
Before college, okay.
He and I had been living our lives in Yakima. He worked doing sales. I was at home with one of our kids. We had one on the way, and God just came in and turned everything upside down, and it was overnight. Kurt was a different person, and I said, okay, it took me a few years, but once I felt like that peace in my heart that it was okay to not, I guess, be, I don't want to use the word not be Catholic anymore, but just to follow him to where he was going. That happened, and it was within 1 year to the day that Kurt rededicated his life that we then had picked up our family and moved to Portland, and he was in Bible college. So.
Wow, I didn't know that Kurt went to Bible college. That's so cool. Which one did he go to?
He went to Multnomah.
Okay, that's so cool. Wow, see, you learn something new all the time, you guys. And also, speaking of that, so Terra, you grew up in Sunnyside, right? So Terra actually knows my family members because I'm from Granger, which is 15 minutes away. And so she knows some of my cousins. You grew up with them.
Yes, grew up. We did high school cheerleading and all the fun stuff.
The connection.
Yes.
It's so funny when you just learn about those little things and how they are.
I know.
But that's so cool. I love that. So segueing into then, when and how did you get interested in photography?
Yeah, so it was the leading up to Kurt, I guess, his rededication and his, change had a lot to do with that, because leading up to that, I was going to school to teach. I was going to be a teacher. I was about halfway through school when he decided he wanted to go to Multnomah, and it was the wildest thing, because you're right in the middle of something, and then when God shifts or allows a shifting to happen, I had peace about it, and I said, okay, let's go. Well, it was during the end of Kurt's time at Multnomah that there was a group of guys that he went to school with that were all in Bible college together and got into doing stock photography.
Oh, okay.
And I'm watching this happen from a distance, and I've always been I'm a creative. And the idea of doing that just seemed very appealing to me. And one of them in particular was very gracious, and he kind of took me under his wing and said, I'll teach you whatever you want to know. You can come with me. And he started shooting weddings at that time. So I went and instantly knew this is what I want to do.
That's
and
so cool. I love
since that day, he has always been a source of encouragement and just this is what you do, this is how you do it, this is how you get set up. So I had a really, really good mentor.
That's awesome.
At the start of it.
That's so good. So he just kind of taught you these are the basics of it,
I look back now and I'm like, he's such a good teacher, because he never did it for me. He always pointed me in the direction on where to go learn it. Awesome. And so I'm so thankful for that now, because I have since then mentored other people, and I try to do the same thing that he did, and I'm like, had he just done it for me, I wouldn't know all the things that I now know. But he always said, go here, go look here, go do this, or this is a good resource. And I had to do all the learning on my own. But it was at his directing.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, that does make sense.
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool way to learn. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, how long ago was that when you first
That
started?
was in 2009.
Okay,
So,
2009. Yeah, about 11 years ago.
Yep.
Not that good at math, but.
Yeah, no, it's 11 years. That's right. That's right.
No, that's so good. So when did you decide to take the plunge and just start your own business with it?
Kind of right away.
Okay, I love
So,
it.
Kurt finished school. I started learning photography, following Jelani about 4 or 5 months before Kurt finished.
Mhm.
And so I had him kind of right there with me at my side, helping me.
Mhm.
And then when we moved, that's a 3-hour drive.
Yeah.
I was kind of on my own at that point,
Yeah. that
which
makes
was
sense.
good. And that we moved in January, and that following summer I shot my first wedding.
Wow, get it? That's awesome.
Yep.
Were you
Yep.
intimidated? Were you nervous? Or how did you feel
I
about
didn't
it?
sleep the night before. I had studied and read all the things I could read. I mean, you
Yeah.
can know what it looks like. You
Yeah.
can follow somebody, but until you have to do it on your own
Yeah.
and
Totally different.
stand up on your own 2 feet, it's totally
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
So-
No, yep, totally agree.
So yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
I actually drove by the venue of the first place I ever shot a wedding the
Oh
other
my
day.
goodness.
And I was like,
Memories.
oh my gosh, I remember being scared out of my mind,
Yep,
not
that
knowing what I was
feeling.
doing.
And how many weddings do you think you've done now? since
Hundreds.
then? Oh my goodness, I'm
Hundreds
sure.
of weddings
Yeah.
now.
Too
so-
many to count now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now it's
Yeah. Over a period of 10 years. That
10
would be.
years.
Yeah, a lot. That's so good. Okay, so how do you feel like your faith, being a Christian, how has that played into photography and your business and how you approach things and even things that God's taught you through it?
Sure. I guess I look at photography and I think, okay, where are there places that I can plug myself in and fulfill a need? How can I be used in a way that's not business related necessarily?
Yeah.
And so I look for those. I'm always asking the Lord, show me, tell me where you want me to go, tell me where you want me to serve, and if I see places or people, families where there's a need, where I know
Yeah.
that that's not something that is a priority, that they can afford or whatever, I try to offer it,
Yeah.
and just without anything in return, because
Mhm.
it's something that I truly, honestly enjoy.
Yeah.
And yes, it is become my job, and I do have a business with it, but sometimes you don't get a lot of joy when it's business,
Mhm.
and so when I can just do something like that, it's good.
Yeah.
My mentor at the very end, right before I left, he gave me a word of advice, and I said at the time, I said we were poor college students, and I couldn't afford to pay him for everything
Yeah.
that he had given and taught me, and I knew he wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
But I just said, what can I do?
Yeah.
How can I pay you back? And he said, just pay it forward, pass it on. And I said,
That's
I can
really
do that. And so over the years, I've had a lot of women mostly come to me and say, I feel like this community is very competitive, or I
Mhm.
feel like people are unwilling to help. And because of what he
Mhm.
taught me, that's what I try to do,
I love
and
that.
so
That's
yeah.
so cool. Yeah, and you've mentored other women
Mhm.
as you've gone along, and I've met, Liz Robinson, right?
Mhm.
You helped her, yep. She was also an amazing photographer.
She is great person.
Yes, and such
Good
a good
photographer.
person too.
Has a
Yep.
heart of gold. Same thing.
Yes.
I feel like her mission is the same thing, and
Yeah.
that's to use her gifts,
Yeah.
in ways outside of just business too.
Yes,
Mhm.
which I think is so important because the gifts that God gives us, He wants us to use
Yep.
for His glory, for His kingdom. And so to be pouring into these other women and to be helping people who maybe couldn't afford a
Right.
senior photo shoot or
Right.
something like that, I think that that's just so huge. And I think it brings joy to God to
Yeah.
know that you're doing that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
so good. And also, speaking of, I remember hearing, so we talked about how to Embrace Grace comes, which Embrace Grace, if you guys don't know, they are a ministry for single young pregnant women or single young moms. And so they came and they told us they do this Princess Day where the girls get all dressed up,
Yeah.
and then they get their photos taken, and they said that both Tara and Liz, that you guys had done photo shoots for them. So
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
that's so cool and
It
really
is,
special.
because I think that you can do, you're fulfilling your purposes and helping with ministries, but I think, in ministry, a lot of times when you're serving, they're actually doing you're getting something back
Yeah.
that's greater.
Yeah.
And that you can't get that outside of that.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, what is your absolute favorite part about your job?
well, I always knew that I was going to have to do something that required being involved with people and
Mhm.
having interaction
Yeah.
and just kind of an extrovert. And so getting to work with people and get
Yeah.
to know people, I've gotten to meet so many people
Yeah.
through this job
I'm
and
sure.
made relationships and connections with people
Mhm.
that I would have never had outside of that.
Yeah.
And once you get to know people, you get to go deeper.
Yeah.
And I have found that there's a lot more people that do what I do and love Jesus the way that I love Jesus, and
Yeah.
getting to just share that,
Mhm.
I feel like there's just communities upon communities that
Yeah.
I've gotten to be a part of.
No, that's such a cool thing. And you probably have, I'm sure you have clients who you every year do family photos
Mhm.
with, and you just get to see them grow
Yeah.
and their children grow up. And
Yeah.
it's just like a really cool, special thing to see throughout the years.
It is.
Just watching that. Yeah.
It is.
That's so good.
I mean, I feel like relationships, like that's what it's about. And
Yeah.
when people get to know you, they want to work with you and
Yeah.
just keep going.
Yeah. It's so cool. Okay, so then what advice would you give to young women who want to start their own business? What would you tell them?
That's an interesting question. I think that sometimes knowing what your passion is, like if you know that, that's a big head start,
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
felt like at the beginning of this, I didn't know exactly what that looked like, but I just kind of took it step by step. Finding somebody that you value where they're at in their lives
Yeah.
and you respect is really important, because I think that I've heard the advice, never take advice from someone you wouldn't trade places with. And so for me,
That's good.
if you have someone in your life that can pour into you or direct you or guide you, that's going to help you a long ways, because
Yeah.
they can tell you, if you're heading in the right direction or
Yeah.
not. And as far as business goes, I mean, same thing. If you know someone
Yeah.
in that field of whatever it is that you're interested in,
Mhm.
find someone that would be willing to mentor you
Yeah.
and to help you.
That's so good. Find a mentor, guys. I think that's great advice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really good. Have someone to walk alongside you as you're journeying through it. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit earlier about people telling you it's such a competitive field in photography. Do you feel like you've dealt with comparison along the way? And if you have, how have you handled that?
That's interesting. I like watched something on Instagram this morning talking about comparison, and it's gonna sound really strange, but for some odd reason, I personally don't find myself struggling with that as much as I
that's
know
good.
happens
Yeah.
out there. I've always kind of tried to stay in my own lane as far
Yeah.
as like when Jelani first got me going, he said, find whatever it is that you want to do, and instead of trying to like plug yourself
Yeah.
into all these other areas, like find what it is that you want to do and then just do it really, really well. And so I think that because that's been my focus,
Yeah.
it's been easier for me to not focus on a lot of outside stuff.
Yeah.
It happens, like I'm not gonna say it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
There's so many talented people, but I think that one way to fight that is I always look at them and say like, okay, what are they doing that's really, really well?
Yeah.
And learn from, like, what can I learn from that? You
Yeah,
know, instead of
exactly.
focusing on the how come I don't have that, or how come I'm not doing
Yes.
that, or why am I not good at that?
Yep.
We're all good at things,
Yep.
and
Agreed.
we're not great at all the things too. Like,
Yeah,
it's like we
true.
can't be good at everything.
Yep. It's
So-
true. No, that's good advice. And I would say, I mean, just observation, you can tell me if this is true, but I think when you know your identity in the Lord too,
Yep,
and you're
it's so
rooted in
true.
that, it
It's so
just
true.
gives you that extra confidence because you're not searching for your identity through
That's
photography.
right. No, that's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yep. Because I think if I didn't have that, it would be a lot harder to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I know that 100%.
Yep.
Like it would be very hard for me to
Yeah.
feel confident in who I am as a person, because everyone's flawed. Like we're all gonna have shortcomings and things that we're not the best at. That's
Yes.
That's just how it is.
We're humans. We're not
Exactly.
perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Terra, thank you so much for coming and
Yes.
sharing with us. You guys all have her Instagram handle on her website, and other stuff, so you can check out what she does. And if you guys have any questions for Terra, please feel free to put them in the comments, and I'll make sure that she gets them and she can get back to you guys and let you know what she thinks. But thanks again, Terra, and
Yes,
thank you
thanks for
guys for
having me.
joining us.